Hey, welcome back in this MVP series. Today I have the pleasure to host Daniel Sahal. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, hello.
I'm really excited to have you here. But first, can you tell us more about you?
First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm Daniel. I work as a senior data engineer. I'm like almost a decade in a business delivering the data engineering solutions for the clients. So my background is like not fully data engineering, as I was also doing some software engineering before, like a couple of years ago. But yeah, I've started mostly with a data engineering, like my first professional experience was working with Excel. That's that was kind of cool stuff doing the reports in Excel, but it was exhausting in the end. And after that, I came through working with on-prem database solutions, so some cloud solutions on Google Cloud Platform with BigQuery, Airflow. And yeah, for the last 3 years, I've been working with Databricks and yeah, delivering the Lakehouse to the clients.
Yeah, I think since you mentioned Excel, Josue will be very happy to have a
Yeah.
talk with you.
Yeah,
There's
like
a
we pushed
very
Excel to the limit, so I know a lot about Excel.
And also, I'm really impressed by like the experience you do have, like working with so many technologies, so many tools. And I think I think the first one, like, can you tell us like how did you end up working or like developing on Databricks?
In one of my previous company, like we were using mostly Azure Stack, and then after some time, there was just a need to start doing projects in a Databricks. We found a client, we had a client, and yeah, we had to start with a Databricks. And since I do like to write a code, it was kind of fun to me, and I like this product, and I really enjoyed working with that.
And since you mentioned that you started working on Databricks like
3 years.
start 3 years ago, if I'm not wrong. So I guess you noticed the amount of change, like the introduction of Unity Catalog, Delta Live Tables, Feature Store. You've seen like how the platform like released so many features.
Yeah, it evolves so fast that sometimes it's really too hard to track what changed, what's new. But yeah, I think that the most important feature that was introduced is the Unity catalog, because thanks to the Unity catalog, you can keep everything in one place. You don't have to set up like other tools and stuff. You can have everything in one place, and that's kind of cool. And I think that this is the way Databricks is developing itself, to have everything in one place with a simplified architecture. So you don't need to take other bricks and build like a whole block of the uh, of the tools, apps, and infrastructure.
Yeah, you're completely right. And you know what? I remember like when we did no before that, like when I joined Databricks, I think since I joined the company, I've never felt bored because every day or literally like every week we have new release. And there is like a joke we're always saying, like whenever we go on like holidays, once you're back, like the platform always there is always something changing the platform. Like it can be clusters, maybe new release, maybe rebranding a product, or maybe adding new features. So it's always like, when you're back, you need to keep up with all the changes. And I don't think you may have this opportunity. Maybe if you're like, I didn't have this chance in in my two previous roles.
Yeah, so that's why I start Monday with a cup of coffee and checking the release notes, and that's kind of cool. With the previous technologies that I've used, I did not care about changelog. I did not care what's gonna change, what's happening, and the amount of releases, the releases itself were not so frequent. And with the Databricks, it's like every week you've got something new. or you can enroll to the previous and test something that's not yet publicly available, and that's kind of cool. I think that this is because Databricks is listening to the community and they are adapting to the clients and people needs.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And like if you, I don't know if you're aware, but the number of private previews that are like currently rolling out, it's just insane. Like the number of features, like it's sometimes also super hard for us like to keep track of all those changes. Like you need to have like a cheat with all those. And also I have um like couple questions for you. I've seen people asking same questions like what's the easiest way to learn or to master maybe Databricks? I know it's like it's a large topic because it'll have a lot of like bricks, can be engineering, analysts, ML, but since you're a data engineer, what would be your advice for aspiring maybe data engineers who want to develop or increase their knowledge on the platform?
That's actually a good question because for the last 3 years I've been also technically interviewing people in the companies that I work for. So what I find common in the candidates is that they don't know or don't fully understand the basics. So they say that they know Databricks, but they don't know about the Spark basics. So I would start learning from the basic, how Spark works, what are the backgrounds, how to check performance, etc. Then moving on to the Delta format, as it's the main format for the Databricks, and then going higher and higher, learning Unity catalog, how it works, what kind of issues we might have in there. And yeah, definitely learning the basics, not jumping from one technology to another, because I also saw a lot of folks like they knew a lot of technologies, but it was like they knew a little bit about one and another, but they were not able to master any of them. And that is a big issue, because if you master one technology, then moving to another, all you need to do is to learn the differences. You've got the solid fundamentals to do that. So yeah, focus on one technology, learn how it's working, and then move on to another if you've got a need.
Yeah, and I think that this problem is coming from the fact like whenever I check the descriptions in the roles that I see in LinkedIn, they always mention of like a huge number of like stack. You can find like Databricks, Airflow, Kafka. Sometimes you're gonna find Snowflake or Click, Power BI. Like it's just insane, and I think that's what motivates people like say, okay, maybe I need to try to learn like a small piece from every single technology. And I think well, as you mentioned, it's completely wrong. You should just try to focus on one technology. Start with the basics, as you mentioned, like start with the Apache Spark, Delta Lake, then move to Databricks. If you good, then you can move, I don't know, to other tools like Click or maybe Airflow, but just don't tackle everything at the same time. I think you're just gonna be lost.
Yeah, the truth is you won't be able to know everything, and also you won't be able to answer all of the questions during the technical interview. That's simply not possible. But I think that also the issue is with the big consulting companies that all they care is the headcount and the number of projects. So they are like hiring unexperienced engineers. They are throwing them into the project. They have to do their work without understanding what's going on. Otherwise, they will be fired. That's hard truth. And yeah, that's why it's hard for them to learn the basics, because they don't know where to start.
Yes, sorry. My apologies. Start here. Yes, I totally understand. Like, got your point. And if you can tell us a bit more, maybe about maybe one of the or two of the most exciting projects you did work on, like recently. If you can tell us more about maybe the architecture, what was the experience, what was the objective?
Every project is kind of interesting and challenging in some ways, even though some of them might be similar. There are main differences mostly in the people that you work with. But interesting projects. Maybe one of them was we were creating a self-service data platform in a Databricks. It was done like this. We have a team of the engineers, but kind of more business engineers that they wanted to onboard a new data source. They didn't know much about data engineering. They didn't know Spark, Python, or they knew the basics. So we've prepared them a framework where all they had to do is to fill in the configuration, and the Spark was doing like everything for them: the data processing, creating tables, creating schemas, data processing, moving the data from landing layer to bronze to silver. And after silver, it was a self-service platform. Someone wanted to create reports, he was doing it on its own. And it was kind of challenging to simplify the complexity that sometimes is with the data platforms. But in the end, we've managed to deliver that, as well as a lot of trainings to the business users, how the home platform works, how it was created, and how to use it and how to maintain it. That was really great project. And another one, maybe the one that I'm currently working on. Unfortunately, I cannot say like a lot about it, but yeah, a lot of data, terabytes of data, a lot of lines of code, and a lot of work to do to make it fast, scalable, and cheaper than it is right now.
Yeah, which makes sense. And I think, like you mentioned, simple ETL, maybe Lakeflow will resolve this problem
Maybe we'll see.
depending
We'll
on
see
the
how it
source.
goes.
Yeah, depending on the source, but you can just select the source and destination, write some basic code, transform the data. It will be like putting MV or streaming tables and that you can leverage in a dashboard or maybe Genie uh, to do like to open it to business users.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that this is the way where Databricks is going right now, to simplify stuff, because for some small or medium clients, they don't need like wide architecture, they don't need a lot of lines of code. All they want to do is to take data from point A and have them in point B and produce reports out of them. With a little bit of maintenance, with a little bit of development, that's all they need. They don't need something complex.
Yeah, and that, that makes sense. The goal is to have things easier, something to be done easier in a short amount of time, and to be able also to have possibility to update it and improve it without a
Yeah.
lot of cost. And I had also other questions. Like, maybe can you tell us more about one of your like the most interesting features that you find in UC?
Most interesting feature that I find in UC. That's kind of a challenging question because all of them are really useful, but maybe the data lineage is kind of a cool one because it lets you track what's happening with your data. And maybe the second one is the whole integration with the Unity catalog. The ability to reach out to the Unity catalog tables basically from everywhere, from every other tool. I find it cool because a lot of clients are worried about the vendor lock, that if they go with the Databricks, then they would have to stick with a Databricks. And thanks to the APIs, they can also connect their third-party tools, data processors, etc. And they can still benefit from the Databricks, from the Unity catalog, but they can use their own products. And I find it kind of cool.
Yeah, they use the open API, brought a lot of exciting things, and they are still working on a bunch of other things. Like last time I discussed with the PM, he told me like in the roadmap they will have possibility to write from external engines to the managed tables. Because for now
That would be great.
you can only read from managed table, but you will have possibility to write, which is good. And then I think this was one of the main blocker of people like not using the managed ones, which are, to be honest, I would still recommend people to go with the managed tables for many reasons. The first one, for those who use Delta, whenever we have a new feature, you need to go and like add the table property and modify every single table you do have. For example, I don't know, the list vectors. You should go to either have a way to list all the tables and then the script that would iterate and add like enable this deletion vectors. While if you're using managed tables, those features will be enabled automatically for you. So we don't need to do any manual tuning. Same thing for if you have predictive optimization enabled, like the vacuum. I know a lot of people tend to forget about this, but to be honest, you need to run it to save some storage costs. Same thing for the optimize. We did add recently the analyze, which collects stats to improve the performance when you're writing the table. So I think those just, and same thing, we have more exciting things, but we cannot mention them. Let's say maybe you need to wait for the next Data and AI Summit.
Yeah, my advice about the managed and external tables would be if you don't need to reach out directly to the files on the storage, then stick with managed. Otherwise, you can experiment with external. Although having managed tables, you can still reach out to them through the storage account, but it's more troublesome.
Yeah, because you have the UID, you can find the name of the name of the table in the path, like with the managed tables. Yeah, that
Yeah. But since you're using Unity Catalog, then Unity Catalog should be anyways your first point of contact if you want to have a data, not the storage accounts.
yeah. Like the goal is to avoid granting those permissions to the storage account to
Yeah.
everyone. And if either they want to upload some files, they can just go through volume, for example, if they have the permissions, and then it would be much easier. And since it's just a button, you don't need to have much experience to upload the data, rather than going to Azure, which requires to be a little bit technical to go to the ADLS, find the right path, create the repository, then upload your files, then choose the permissions. So it's can be a little bit cumbersome for maybe some business users.
Yeah. Totally agree.
And Daniel, before we ramp up, can you maybe if you can share some advice to folks, because I know we have a lot of resources, like if you want to get started with Databricks, but what would be maybe your entry points? Maybe some videos, books, or some links, or any other thing you may think about.
Hmm. Of course, Databricks Academy, there's a lot of resources about the Databricks, but I would start with the Spark basics and the books about Spark as it's a fundamental to know Spark once you're working with Databricks. Watching the YouTube videos, there's a lot of YouTube videos about how Databricks works. And yeah, the best way to learn Databricks, in my opinion, is to jumping on a project. Having the software engineering background and jumping on a project. That's the fastest way of learning how the things works. Because you might know Databricks from the documentation, but you won't have a hands-on experience. And that's, in my opinion, the most important stuff when you want to be a data engineer too. To have that experience, to fail a couple of times, but recover after a failure, and to know what are the limitations and how to do some of the things.
That sounds good. I think you summarize it super in very easy way. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your time, and looking forward to meeting you maybe at the Data and AI Summit. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Thank you for your time and thank you for having me here.